What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Friday? We've made it to Friday. I feel like it's been a long week, a very busy week, dramatic, chaotic week in Titans land, but we're here on a Friday morning getting ready for another slate of NFL football, and the Titans back at home for the first time since October 1st against the Atlanta Falcons. 28 straight days in between home games, and there's a lot of drama surrounding it. Obviously, the Oilers jerseys are going to be rocked at Nissan Stadium, and over 170 Oilers/Titans alumni will be in attendance. Will Derrick Henry play? Who's going to be the quarterback? Will other trades be made before Sunday morning on the heels of the Kevin Byard trade from Monday? It's been a long week, but we have made it here. Talking about some blurred lines that Mike Vrabel is discussing about the Titans quarterback situation between Will Levis and Malik Willis. We've got several topics to kind of dive into. Kind of as Sam and I were like, so much has happened since Wednesday morning, since the last time me and you did a show together.
Yeah.
And we only had time for me and Jack to discuss Buck's Derrick Henry trade report that came out Wednesday afternoon. So we're going to just shove a lot of stuff into this show, but it's definitely dramatic, and we're going to have a good one. And then we'll end with Ain't That Good News. So Dylan asked, so we'll talk about the Falcons on Sunday. Yeah, we'll have a pregame show, but we don't have room. We don't have space to spend any time talking about the Atlanta Falcons today. Mike Vrabel might want us to talk about the Atlanta Falcons, but we're not talking about the Falcons until game day. Sam, what's up?
You hit the nail on the head here. I mean, it is the most chaotic, most busy, hectic week so far of the 2023 season, and maybe even dating back to last year. Like, I don't really remember a week that had this many variables moving at the same time, as far as like basically having to cover, cope with, deal with, and have the fan base move on from the trade of like a franchise legend in Kevin Byard in the span of 2 days, because of the whirlwinds that are coming down the pipeline and like every other way. Everything keeps getting pushed under the rug. So as I called it earlier, Austin, today is our Friday dump. We are discussing everything that went on this week. Like you might dump photos on Instagram and do an Instagram dump. This is our Friday dump of content and topics in Titans world today. Here on a Friday. And before we get going, make sure everybody out there shares the show. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit the share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, share that YouTube link into a group chat, send it to a friend. You can repost on X and retweet at A to Z Sports to make sure you spread the love, get more people involved in the conversation. That's the best way to support us and continue growing the A to Z Sports family. Whether you're Astro with Eric out in Illinois, in my homeland, share with some people out in Illinois and say, hey, curious about what's going on with the Tennessee Titans? Come join these goofballs who are talking about it here on a Friday morning chat.
Yep. Let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, our A to Z Sports Titans reporter at A2ZSports.com. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter/X timeline, and also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by seeing them in Lebanon or online, at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, protecting your information and keeping it safe online, and get a 2-week free trial with our link, aura.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations in Murfreesboro, Columbia, and in Franklin, online at krebskubota.com. So a lot of drama this week. Just to kind of recap the week, Halloween week photo dump, Sam, like you're saying on Instagram. It's been scary, right? Kevin Byard started the week off getting traded to the Eagles. I watched one of his media availabilities in the Eagles locker room yesterday, and it just felt weird. And, Kevin, you could tell, felt weird. I'll always be a Tennessee Titan, but I'm excited. It's just strange, right?
I tell you what's even weirder is walking into the locker room, and we all know where Kevin's locker is. but now it says Terrell Edmunds. And there's just like the weird feeling of like not having a Kevin Byard locker to go and like resort to when you're in need of a story, in need of a comment about something. That was a weird moment where we went over to talk to Terrell Edmunds and find Terrell Edmunds, and you realize we're at Kevin's locker right now, and Kevin is nowhere to be found. His name is scraped off the nameplate. Like it moves quick, obviously, and that was a weird feeling for sure.
That's a great example of just the business of the NFL. Not only do you trade the player, but you just put the new guy in the old guy's locker immediately, and then he's gone, right?
Yep.
It's just absolutely bizarre. And then we talked a lot at length yesterday, and it's really been the talk of a lot of Nashville conversation and NFL conversation. Bucks report of Derrick Henry having the most interested team in acquiring Derrick Henry being the Baltimore Ravens. And then you've seen some conversations about the Dallas Cowboys, but Buck's still sticking to his guns and saying that the Ravens to this point, and as of Tuesday night / Wednesday, the Ravens were the most interested. We'll see how that transpires. But then there's the whole conversation, Sam, about Ryan Tannehill's ankle. He's out of the boot and cast. He's in a walking shoe, which was interesting there too. And, his availability is in doubt. And now you're looking at two quarterbacks potentially playing against the Falcons. Sam, what else did you want to add?
So along those lines, and we didn't even think to include this in our little rundown today, but, we had our Doc Talk segment discussing Ryan Tannehill's ankle and the things that we needed to look for, or that Titans trainers and Ryan Tannehill needed to look for, with him having had the tightrope surgery already. When it comes to his recovery, I was able to confirm for you, Austin, and for those people who maybe did tune into that, did get a chance to listen to some of the great insight from the Bone and Joint Institute, that Ryan Tannehill's suture in his ankle still in place, still working appropriately, all things good there. And what we heard was that it really wouldn't pop up on an MRI. It was more of a physical test that Ryan Tannehill would have to do on his ankle to see if the suture was still doing its job. And if so, we were also told that that would then lead to a quicker recovery than usual from a high ankle sprain, because really all he needs to do is wait for the scarring to set in for him to then be able to play. So I was able to confirm with Tannehill earlier this week that that is the case. So just some confirmation there, that relevant information that has kind of gotten swept under the rug with all the other things going on this week.
Yeah, and that's interesting. So then Mike Vrabel mentioned on Monday, if Tannehill can't play, both quarterbacks will play, which is bizarre. I guess he said that on Tuesday. So then, the days all run together. But then Vrabel had a back and forth with the media on Wednesday that was awkward, to say the least. So let's hear this full interaction about Mike Vrabel being asked and answering questions about his quarterback situation between rookie Will Levis and second-year quarterback Malik Willis.
Both quarterbacks playing. I'm going to focus on the Falcons. Good. For this game. And we're going to talk about the Falcons, Joe. Why are you holding your hands like that?
I'm trying to get a question in here.
Well, then ask the question. No, I'm just saying, you look ridiculous. Just ask the question, Joe.
Okay, let me ask you a question. On the two quarterback thing, would that be
against a really good defense? We have to run the football, whoever plays quarterback.
Okay.
Whether that's right.
Switching series, or would that be like one guy's the starter and one guy's
No,
the
we'll figure out the game plan as we work through the week. We may run the plays in with them. It could be by series, could be every 2 series. It could have certain things that we like. We'll see where where Ryan is, and but again, I'm excited if Ryan can't play that both we'll get a look at both of those quarterbacks, and we'll need both of them to help us win, and Falcons are doing some really good things.
You don't buy the adage that if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback?
No, I don't. Don't buy that adage. We got 3 on the roster, and we'll see where Ryan is with his ankle, and go from there.
I mean, just what an electric minute and a half that is. And I was sitting next to Joe Rexroad for that interaction, Austin.
So I want to know, What was Joe Rexrode doing with his hands? If you were sitting next
it was
to him, can you please recreate the Joe Rexrode hands that got Mike Vrabel all hot and bothered?
it was like a pronounced out of body shrug of like a kind of thing. Because Rexrode comes in, and what you don't hear, you can kind of hear it in the background, is he says, like, ask him about the quarterbacks. Mike says, I want to talk about the Falcons. Rexrode pops his hands out and goes, well, that's a question about the Falcons. That's a question about this game. And says, I am talking about the Falcons. I'm asking you about the quarterbacks this week. And then Mike responds with, why do you have your hands like that? You look ridiculous. And he's got him out wide. He goes, well, I'm trying to get a question in. It was hilarious banter. I mean,
did Joe Rexrode look ridiculous?
I don't know if I would say ridiculous.
Okay.
He looked a little flustered. And Mike is going to take every opportunity to make fun of Joe, Paul, somebody that looks John Glennon, somebody that looks flustered in front of him. Vrabel's not gonna hold his punches.
These old head journalism guys, Rexrode, Paul, Glennon, like they're just like confused and frustrated of why they can't ask the questions that need to be answered and why the games are being played, right? Like that's how I feel. Like, Vrabel won't answer my question. That anyway.
I mean, so somebody said if he was doing that, he did. Dylan says if he's doing that, he did. I will say, like, perhaps this looked a little ridiculous, but I think in the context, it did make sense a little bit because I was a little bit like, all right, Mike, like
we've been through this enough. Come on,
Rexrode, it's a fair question, right? Like,
yes.
Hey, you said you were going to play both quarterbacks. What is that going to look like? Looking for a specific answer. And he later clarified in his question. And to say like, well, I'm focused on the Falcons. That's a question about the game that you have coming up against the Falcons.
Yes.
And what you're doing at quarterback is relevant. And so it was an absolutely fair question. And I get why Joe's frustrated there of being like, what the hell, man? Like, why can't I answer my question? So, yeah.
And Edward says, Mike looked ridiculous. And that was kind of my thought. I thought Mike Vrabel looked ridiculous in that back and forth. So, Sam, you've been at the facility Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you'll be there again later today for 4 consecutive days. And you've mentioned to me off the air yesterday that there feels a little bit of tension going on inside the Titans facility. And we'll get to some of your insight on what that feels like with the tension this week, after the bye week, after the trade of Kevin Byard, and leading into a game where you're 2-4 and the season feels like it's on the line before the trade deadline. So, Sam, on the tension felt inside the Titans facility this week. But first, Krebs Kubota, no tension needs to be felt when you're looking for equipment because you can trust that Krebs Kubota, they got your back and they've got the best equipment in the industry. Krebs Kubota is an elite Kubota dealer with 3 amazing locations, Columbia, Murfreesboro, and in Franklin. Their website's KrebsKubota.com. They've got everything you need. Big equipment, small equipment. I need a new trimmer. Trying to work on that for the spring. I've already got that in my mind. And Krebs Kubota is going to be the place that I look for that new trimmer once it becomes growing season again here in Nashville. And with the holidays coming up, it's a great opportunity to get the person in your life, or maybe you're the person in your life that does the yard work and you need the new toys. This is a great time of year to do that with Krebs Kubota. Or if you don't want to buy it, if you want to rent the equipment for a specific weekend project, they've got that for you as well. They have the best customer service in the industry because Krebs has been doing this family-owned and operated business for over 18 years, and they're growing their locations, started in Columbia, then they went to Franklin and Murfreesboro because they're good at what they do. Online, KrebsKubota.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. $1,500 back, whatever your wager is, from $1 to $1,500. That money goes back into your account with a second chance to win big when you use that bonus code. It's ATOZ Sports. Next time you do sports betting, make sure you're signing up and doing it with the king of sportsbooks, BetMGM, and BetMGM.com.
All right, so Sam, I'm sure we will play the Joe Rexrode interaction here in a second, but you did say that to me when we were talking yesterday afternoon about today's show that there's been some tension inside this Titans facility throughout this week. And it's something that, look, only you can feel unless, Tehran's watching the show, which Tehran watches the show every once in a while, or somebody else watching has been at the facility. You are our feelers there. I don't go to the facility in the season anymore. So do your best to describe the tension that has been felt at the Titans facility over the last 3 days that you've been in there since the bye week.
Yeah. So tension is really just like the best word to describe it. It feels like there is something bubbling and boiling that is almost ready to burst, that nobody wants to acknowledge. It's like this weird sense of like the team is still 2-4. The team has a couple winnable games coming up. The team could be 5-6 days away now from 4-4 and being right back in this thing. And that's a very real possibility. But there is also, like we just talked about, a growing sense of like frustration, irritability from Mike.
I mean, they're also 5 or 6 days away or 7 days away. We would be waking up a week from today after the Titans' second game in a week, and they could be 2-6.
Yeah, right. And that is very clear. There is also the trade deadline and Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins and what the heck is happening. Are these guys getting moved? Are they not getting moved? Is this team going to win or not going to win? Mike Vrabel seems funny but irritable. And there's injury questions that aren't answered. They won't give any information, even when national reporters like Ian Rappaport come forward and say, Will Levis is going to be the starting quarterback. Mike Vrabel says, well, I've never said that. That's not the case, and kind of goes back on it and says both guys are going to play. It's just a very weird vibe from the top down. Anybody you talk to in the Titans building right now seems to be on edge. Like this thing is about ready to burst, and it creates for a very odd environment because you're talking to players about like the objective reality, which is what I just said. 2-4 winnable game coming up. There's been a lot of excitement like all year about Oilers jerseys and alumni weekend and some of the things that like normally you would be like, oh, this is going to be a nice fun weekend. Like let's enjoy this.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's just been a lot of life sucked out of that creates for a lot of unknown right now.
Yeah, Halloween week. Scary stuff happens during Halloween week. Just 2 Halloweens ago.
Spooky season, man.
2 Halloweens ago, Derrick Henry broke his foot on Halloween, on that Halloween Sunday in Indianapolis, and that was a scary situation there. It's been a weird week, that's for sure. So let's play the Rexroad versus Vrabel interaction just in that spot, because I do feel like some of that tension broke in a moment there for the head coach.
I'm going to focus on the Falcons. Like good.
For this game.
And we're going to talk about the Falcons, Joe. Why are you holding your hands like that?
I'm trying to get a question in here.
Well, then ask the question. No, I'm just saying, like, you look ridiculous. Just ask the question, Joe.
Okay, let me ask you a question. On the 2 quarterback thing, would that be
against a really good defense? We have to run the football, whoever plays quarterback.
Okay.
Whether that's right.
Oh, Rexroad goes on and asks the question. We'll get to the actual quarterback question answered in a second, because that is also interesting. But I honestly feel like, and you guys who watch our show, we've been covering Vrabel a long time with his 6th season as A to Z Sports. We've seen Vrabel take shots and have fun with media members. But for the most part, that's when the Titans have been winning. Like Mike Vrabel's only losing season as a head coach was his 5th season last year. And it started at 7-3 until the wheels fell off because Tannehill hurt one of his wheels twice. And everybody else felt like got hurt except for Roger McCreary. Now Roger McCreary's hurt. Right. And so now Mike Vrabel has lost a ton of games in a long stretch. We are not far away. Well, actually, we're right at like 11 months since the Green Bay Packers win in Green Bay, right? And Mike Vrabel is showing some of these he seems irritable to me. Like, fair questions are being asked, and he has it's like when you've beaten somebody in an argument on Twitter, whenever they start saying something about your profile picture appearance, right? It's
Okay.
like that has nothing to do with what's being discussed. You see what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
Rex Road is saying, I have this valid line of questioning about something that Mike Vrabel said Tuesday. And Mike Vrabel is looking at it and say, well, your profile picture, sweet car selfie with sunglasses, bro. But like that has nothing to do with the valid conversation that's being had or attempted to being had. And Mike Vrabel is trying to stoop to that level. A guy whose initials are CT does this all the time and gets a lot of props for doing it when it's really taking the lowest hanging fruit you can possibly get. Not your guy CT, Sam, somebody else.
I'm trying to figure it. I don't know who that you're talking
You're
about.
not from here, but people get it. But you got a lot of notoriety because he takes the low hanging fruit, and the people that follow him jump on board and say, look how hilarious you are, you goober, and then pile on the guy who's getting piled on. Joe Rexrode's getting piled on for asking a good question, right? And so that's what I feel like this is stooped to, is that Mike Vrabel made fun of Joe Rexrode's profile picture on Twitter.
I will say, important to note, though, like this is Mike Vrabel, Joe Rexrode banter at its finest. This is a little bit of what Mike. This is probably an extreme version of it in like a context that seems worse than usual because Joe is asking what is to him and to everybody else like a very important question that like we all want answers to. But this is not like completely out of character from Mike was acting like this when they were 2-2 and they were
2-2
doing the same thing
and Vrabel also said I guess Tuesday that the record didn't have anything to do with the Kevin Byard trade.
True.
Which I don't buy.
I mean, I don't buy it either. But
if the Titans are 3-3, you're not trading away Kevin Byard.
That is ultimately what this is to me, is because, like I said, that Mike does this with the reporters he's very comfortable with. Joe, Paul, John Glennon, those guys I mentioned. He has no problem like jabbing at them. And
Teresa,
those guys,
right? And Buck is in that list. Tehran, people that Mike Vrabel has a legitimate relationship with over the 5+ years he's been here.
Yeah, and so those people are like he's fine with poking fun at them. They all get it. I found it funny, to be honest. There is a sense of like when there's the Titans have had this strategy, Austin, and I didn't include this earlier when I was talking about the tension in the building. Everybody is just standing up there and lying. And the difficult part is they're standing up there and lying. We know that they're lying, but we can't be like, oh, you're lying to me about this, right? And so there's just like this weird tension of like Malik Willis is standing at his locker on Wednesday before a practice and says with a straight face, I have no idea what the quarterback rotation or game plan is going to look like. You put the game plan in on Tuesdays. So there's no way your quarterback that you're talking about playing in the game doesn't know what his role is going to be in the game. So like Tim Kelly, the same thing yesterday, tries to claim like, we don't even know what it's going to be.
It's Thursday.
It's a pointless press conference if we're just going to stand up there and lie. And so that is what they've decided to do. This was an example of Vrabel trying to dodge and avoid a question that he didn't want to answer. And the reason that he gave being, we're focusing on the Falcons. Curtis says, are you saying Malik is lying too? Yes, I think Malik is saying what he's told to say, which is don't give away any information about who's playing the game. And so Malik says, we don't know. You'd have to ask Vrabes. You have to ask
company line, right? And this is what's happening.
The Titans do this so well is you ask a coach a question. They say, I can't speak for the players. You'll have to ask like Malik. You'll have to ask Will. You'll have to ask, right? So the question, Mike, what is the vibe in the locker room? Does this team still think they can win when you just traded away Kevin Byard? Mike's response, you'd have to ask the players in the locker room. You go ask Jeffrey Simmons, what is the vibe of this team? Is this team still in contention now that like Kevin Byard's gone? He goes, I can't speak for like the front office or what their intentions are. You'd have to ask Mike in the front office. They reverse it. It's brilliant. Reverse Uno. You can't get any information out. This is what they do.
Mm-hmm.
This is an example of Joe poking a hole in what Mike's initial excuse was, which is, well, let's worry about the Falcons, and him saying, no, this is the Falcons. And Mike resorted to, like, I think some humor and some frustration boiling over with like, hey, I don't want to answer this question, and you're making me answer this question.
And
that is the tension that I'm talking about. It's palpable and everything. It's like the Malik Willis scrum in the locker room did not last very long because you got to vibe 4 or 5 questions in. He's just not telling you any information that's valuable or useful at all, not even like a quote. And so this is where we are right now with this Titans team, where they're making it very difficult to cover them, very difficult to deduce anything. And so, yeah, I mean, that's where we are.
So, and now it's time to get to where Mike Vrabel is blurring these lines, because that's exactly what he's doing, because questions are being asked about an important topic on who and what the quarterback plan is going to be. And Mike Vrabel is not giving anybody an answer. And he's honestly doing something that is just causing more confusion because of him blurring the lines. I'm going to get to those exactly here in a second. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should turn for your health coverage. FBHP.com/ATOZ. Farm Bureau Health Plans can save you money and get you better rates on your health coverage, because that's what they've been doing for over 75 years for Tennesseans across the entire state. Over 200 plus locations and the experts that help you out. If you don't want to go walk into a Farm Bureau Health Plans location, no problem. Go to FBHP.com/ATOZ and set up your process to have a better health plan, because you can save money and get better coverage. Zach did that. He saved 20% a month on his rates, but actually has way better coverage than he had previously. And it doesn't matter what your situation is. Farm Bureau Health Plans can get you the right setup for your situation, whether you're single out there on your own, maybe you've got a growing family, maybe your family's out of the house and it's just you and your spouse going into the golden years, right? Farm Bureau Health Plans can take care of you there. FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM. They're the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. That's a second chance to win big when you use BetMGM and the bonus code ATOZ Sports. Place a wager, and however big your wager is, even if your first bet loses, that money goes back into your account in the form of a bonus bet up to $1,500. So if it's NFL, World Series, college football, college basketball around the corner, make sure you're placing your bets with BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks.
All right, so I'm going to play, we've played enough of the Rex Road and Vrabel stuff, right? So let's actually play the part of the video that is Mike Vrabel answering a question about the Titans quarterback situation. And then I'll go into where I think Vrabel is maybe leaning on humor a little bit too much in a situation that doesn't call for it.
Replace quarterback.
Okay.
Whether
Would that
that's
be
Ryan.
switching
See, Sam,
series?
is that playing
Would
for
that
you?
be like one guy's the starter and one guy's
No,
the situation?
we'll figure out the game plan as we work through the week. We may run the plays in with them. It could be by series, could be every 2 series. It could have certain things that we like. We'll see where where Ryan is, and but again, I'm excited if Ryan can't play that both we'll get a look at both of those quarterbacks, and we'll need both of them to help us win, and Falcons are doing some really good things.
You don't buy the adage that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback?
No, I don't buy that adage. We got 3 on the roster, and we'll see where Ryan is with his ankle, and go from there.
All right, hang on. We're gonna have to do that one more time again, and like really focus on like the details of what Vrabel is saying here, because he says we're gonna run the plays in with the quarterbacks. It could be every series, could be every other series. We got to decipher what does he mean and what's he being serious about? So I think we should run it one more time and listen carefully here.
Replace quarterback.
Okay.
Whether
Would that
that's
be
Ryan.
switching series, or that be like one guy's the starter and one guy's
No,
the
we'll
situation?
figure out the game plan as we work through the week. We may run the plays in with him. It could be by series, could be every 2 series. It could have certain things that we like. We'll see where where Ryan is, and but again, I'm excited if Ryan can't play that both we'll get a look at both of those quarterbacks, and we'll need both of them to help us win, and Falcons are doing some really good things.
You don't buy the adage that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback?
No, I don't. Don't buy that adage. We got 3 on the roster, and we'll see where Ryan is with his ankle, and go from there.
So,
Sam, I think, and I saw you start. Sean asked the perfect question. Sean says, "Where's the humor in any of this?" And I think the fact that Sean did not pick up on the humor in it is Mike Vrabel's problem with blurring these lines. Because
I'm with Sean.
yeah, and Sam, you mentioned that other guys, other reporters, Titans reporters at that press conference also did not pick up on it. When I heard it, I immediately knew that Mike Vrabel was joking. But then he was serious. Mike Vrabel was absolutely joking about running the plays in with the quarterback. That is what high schools do all the time. You run the play in with the quarterback, as Lucas said, run the play in with them like they're in high school, right? That is, I did. That was part of my job as a receiver in high school.
When you listen to that back to back again, you really think like with the straight face he's joking?
Yes, when he says he was run the plays in him with him, he is joking because
he does not make that clear enough that he's joking.
I know that's the whole prop. Like quarterbacks have headsets in their helmets. You don't have to run the play in with a quarterback. They have a direct line to the coaching staff in their ear. Like that is a joke, but he said it and delivered it in a way that sounds serious. And then he went on to talk about switching series and every 2 series, and we'll have things that we like with them and things.
Is that a joke?
No, that's the point. When you start off by joking, and like that is a clear joke. Mike Vrabel and no other NFL team is going to run in a play with a quarterback or run in a play with any player that's in substitution because they have headsets in their damn helmets. And so when you start off a serious question after going at Rexroad for doing something with his hands and calling him saying he looks ridiculous, and then you answer the serious question with a joke first, and then you go like it's just not good for anybody because
it's
now
confusing everybody.
Yes.
Which again, maybe that's the point, right? It's confusing to everybody, and that might be exactly what he wants. But
if that's what he wants, then and I'm not saying he has, but if confusion is what Mike Vrabel wants, then I don't want to hear Mike Vrabel down the line saying, "Well, you guys are just going to take every word that I say and run with it," because what else is the media supposed to do but go by the words that he speaks?
Well, so James does clarify. It's not a joke. It's sarcasm, right? He's being sarcastic and joking.
What's the difference?
Same deal.
Yeah.
But the biggest point of sarcasm is it has to be pretty clear that you're being sarcastic. And as I talked about with other members of the media yesterday, there was follow-up questions along the same lines of like the every other series stuff and of these things that he took. Like if he was joking about that part or being sarcastic about that part, that's when he goes, that's when you need to go, "Oh, guys, I was just I was just joking about that. Like I'm not actually going to run the plays in with the quarter." Like this is just it. If it's sarcasm, it's very poorly timed and poorly used sarcasm that makes the situation all that more confusing. But like I said, perhaps that's the goal.
Yeah, maybe it is. So let's ask the audience our main question today, Sam. Is a different type of show because you guys have had plenty of things to comment on without us even asking you guys a question. Josh says, humor.
Well,
My brother in Christ, we have won 2 games since November 22nd of 2022.
yeah. I actually have something for
Hilarious.
you, Austin, if you want to hop into a quick live read or something, because the
Yeah.
chat has pointed out what I think sparked a very valuable question for
No,
me.
go ahead and get to it because I'm curious about it.
Okay. Well, we have Jason Martinez saying, please 2-6. This is a while ago that when we were talking about the possibilities, right? 4-4 to 2-6. It made me want to ask the chat if the chat wants to come in here and share their opinions. Would you rather be 4-4 or 2-6 in 7 days? Because I get to a weird vibe. I would rather be 4-4. I think you would rather be 4-4. I
Yes.
want to cover a winning football team and a team that competes and contends. Titans fans right now are so miserable, Austin, rightfully so miserable that people are like, I hope Ryan Tannehill never comes back and we lose every single game. And they're all the way in on this like full 2-6 tank right now that I think people are going to choose to be 2-6 instead of 4-4. I think that's crazy. And we already have people coming in with, I mean, majority of people, Austin, Jay, Trilogy, Linwood, Scar, Soul, they're all 4-4. But Darren's 2-6. Demetrius says 2-6. Joey says 2-6. Matt says 2-6. Andre Rantz 2-15. 2-6, your season is over. But Yusuf, people want the season to be over right now, which is like the crazy thing is
so let's just put this into perspective. The NFL season is 4.5 months. There is 7.5 months of no meaningful football. And all we do, me, Sam, and the 400 plus people currently watching the show, all we all want to do for those 7.5 months is get to the season. And now you guys, a portion of you, are 2 months into it and say, nope, give me 9.5 months of no season. That is what you guys are saying.
I mean,
which I find that bonkers.
Ryan says, you know what you are. And you're right, Ryan. You are correct. You do know what you are. Why not just have fun anyway, man? Because I'll say, by the way, like you start winning some games, you win these next 2 games, that probably means Will Levis looks solid, right? I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
So, like, if you're going to win some games here and get back in the mix, your quarterback doesn't suck. And if you've got a young rookie quarterback who looks pretty solid and can win you some football games, like, I think you can be okay going 8-9, 9-8, and fumbling around because there's some optimism there. Like, why not have fun? Let's have some fun. Let's get to November with like being relevant.
That's the key thing, is that because you asked this question, it's very clear. Would you rather be 2-6 or 4-4 7 days from now? Waking up on Friday morning, a week after right now, and your 2 games have been played. Because we know, I highly doubt Ryan Tannehill will play in the next 7 days, which means if the Titans are 4-4 in 7 days from now, then Will Levis has probably done a good enough job for the Titans to win 2 games against solid football teams.
Good defenses, at least.
Good defense, yeah, at the very least. And on the road where it's tough to win in Pittsburgh, right? So if you're 4-4 7-8 days from now, you should be thrilled because you still have 5 divisional games ahead of you that are winnable, right? And you've got some teams like the Panthers, like the Bucks, and I'm probably forgetting somebody out. Like there's a lot of winnable games on the schedule moving forward. So if you're sitting here at 4-4, then you should be jumping up, clicking your heels to the side, and ready to go to Tampa and be 5-4. You know?
Hey, yeah. Oh, well, so then here's my other question off of the comments, and they did a great job. This is courtesy of Jay. Do you feel like we are done at 3-5? All this 2-6 talk, all this 4-4 talk. What if it's 3-5 for the Titans after these next 2 games? Do you feel like the Titans are done, Austin? Here's the schedule. You'd be going to Tampa in week 10 at 3-5. Are the Titans done?
I mean, technically, no. It's going to get a lot. Yeah, it's going to get a lot harder.
So I think a firm no. It is obviously challenging. Here's my mark, and this is kind of what Jack and I talked about last week. the Titans need to finish that game in Indianapolis in week 13 at minimum 6-6. If you go 1-1 over the next 2 and you are 3-5, you would then need to win 3 of the next 4 games. Now, Tampa, winnable game. Carolina, winnable game. Indianapolis, winnable game. I think you could go 4-2 in this next stretch of games, be 6-6. And because of the tiebreakers, Jack and I broke all of this down. You already have a tiebreaker over teams like the Chargers and teams like the Bengals. You're not dead at that point at 6-6. So no, I don't think 3-5 is a death sentence, but it puts you certainly like back all the way against the wall where you have to win those 3 winnable games.
Yeah, and honestly, you'd rather beat the Steelers, the Jags, and the Colts.
Yeah, you know? And I mean, we just, bro, I keep getting comments like this. I'm so sick of this mentality, bro. I'm so sick of this. I cannot tell you, Austin, how sick and tired I am of this. I might be telling you what you don't want to hear. I'm telling you the truth, man. Like, the Titans can win these games. You know why? The Titans are a bottom 5 offense in football, and 3 of their next opponents are teams that score less than them. The Steelers, the Falcons, the Bucks. Terrible, terrible offenses. These are going to be ugly games, but they're winnable games. So I don't care if you want to tank. I don't care if you want Caleb Williams or Drake May. You're delusional. It's not happening. They're not going to have a pick to do it. They're not going to draft a quarterback in general. So unless you're just like pumped about drafting top 5 to take an offensive lineman again to come in and be like, do we have a quarterback? This is reality. This is still a competitive team that hung around with the Ravens, that has the easiest part of their schedule. Objectively 6-6 with where they're at in the standings does not eliminate them. I don't like, this is such BS that we have this mentality over and over again of like, oh, thinking we can win a game is delusional. You're such an optimist. I want the weed you're smoking. Like, shut up. Like, I get people are upset. I get we're down on the team. We got to like at least be somewhat objective about what we're dealing with here. The fact that Desmond Ridder has 14 turnovers in like 6 games, like, this is not like some daunting task of beating the mighty Falcons. Oh, Lord, don't let Olamide Zaccheaus score on us. Like, what are we doing?
Look, you would think that Sam would be so optimistic after being a Bears fan your whole life. But, hey, you're like the most optimistic person sitting in this room right now.
I'm not even trying to be optimistic, man. I'm just trying to say, like, let's try and have some sense of, like, reality here, which is the fact that there is still some talent on this team, that they've still hung around some of these games, and their schedule is bad. Like, if you get to 2-6 and you lose these next 2 games, I'll be all in with the chat right here about, yeah, let's go get the draft pick. You're dead. Let's see what the young quarterbacks look like, and wins and losses don't really matter. But like, to suggest that it's some absurd idea that you could win a couple of these games against the worst offenses in football, literally 3 of the worst offenses in football, and a team that hasn't won a game yet in Carolina, it's just ridiculous to me.
All right, so Sam, I'll give you an option. Do you want to go to the quarterback question, or do you want to get to DeAndre Hopkins? Which would you prefer?
Let's go to DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm done. I'm with you. I'm done talking about the quarterback situation
here, I think.
Yeah, I don't want somebody get Sam an aspirin. All right, so I have a theory on what happened with the DeAndre Hopkins situation yesterday. And there is a victim here, and I will share my theory in this here in a second. But first, hey, there can be a victim in you if your online information is not protected by Aura. Aura, our sponsor, does a fantastic job of protecting your information online. So don't be the victim. Don't be the victim of credit and theft identity. Don't be a victim of your passwords getting leaked and then your information gets out there even more. Don't be a victim of having your information being sold by data brokers who sell it to spammers and telemarketers and robocallers. I signed up with Aura back in April, and they've done a great job. They identified 30 data brokers who were selling my information against my will and opted me out of that on all 30 data brokers in like 5 or 6 days. We're giving you a 2-week free trial with our sponsor Aura by using our link only, aura.com/ATOZ. That's aura.com/ATOZ for a 2-week free trial. You get the data brokers out of your life. That means no more spam calls and robocalls about some car warranty that you don't have or anything else. You also get less junk emails. And then you look at your password protection, credit and identity theft monitoring as well, parental controls for the Wi-Fi at home for the kids on the devices, all in one app. But a 2-week free trial is how you should get started, only with our link for Aura, aura.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Place that wager, whatever it is. Even if you lose that first bet, that money goes back into your account in the form of a bonus bet with a second chance to win big. That's why when you do sports betting, you have to do it with the king of sportsbooks. It's BetMGM and BetMGM.com.
All right, so Sam, there was a situation that arose yesterday right in the middle of Titans practice where DeAndre Hopkins got caught up in a massive confusion here. And so I want to make sure that I give my full theory on what I think went wrong. And this is something that honestly I have kind of seen play out before with some stuff in the past. So DeAndre Hopkins is at practice, and then all of a sudden a card and collectible company that's local here in Hendersonville, Shep's Cards and Collectibles, puts out a Facebook post saying that D-Hop signing update. We apologize for the delay, but he has requested to wait until after the trade deadline. So we are shooting to finish up and finalize everything by next Wednesday. If not, we'll begin processing refunds and returning items by late next week. Again, we apologize for the delay. DeAndre Hopkins denied that, saying, I have no idea what this is or who that company is. And Jason Shepard of Shep's Cards and Collections responded to D-Hop, says, clarification, we were setting up to do a signing through a third-party agency, and this was the information we were given this morning after multiple delays. We're only updating our customers, nothing more, nothing less, nothing to do with trade info, period. And D-Hop says, sorry, you were lied to, but message me, and I'll be happy to see what we can do for the city. And so, unfortunately, the victim here is Shep's Cards and Collectibles. And I see Brandon saying PK is the absolute worst.
I've been seeing a lot of that. Paul did nothing wrong in this situation at all.
Nothing wrong. And so for anybody who's going after Paul, I first saw this by the No Context Titans Twitter account tweeting out the Shep's Cards and Collectibles Facebook post. So what I did, I alerted our Titans writing team to potentially start working on something. And I called Shep's Cards and Collectibles. I picked up my phone and I called them. And I said, hey, I want to confirm that you guys had something set up with DeAndre Hopkins for an autograph session. And he said, yes, but they delayed it. I don't know what's going on. The trade, he's clearly a Titans fan. He's like, there's a lot of stuff going on, man. There's, with this trade stuff. I was like, when was it originally scheduled? He was like, I don't remember, like October 20th. And so so after they got back from London, this autograph session, whatever it was going to be, was scheduled for their customers in Hendersonville with DeAndre Hopkins signed items. And so what happened here is that Shep's Cards and Collectibles got drug around. And I've seen this before, is that an autograph agency reaches out to people that thinks they can get a buy. And they will charge a store, a company, thousands of dollars to have a player sign items for them that they can then promote for their business growth, right? It makes sense. It's a transaction. That's how that works. The third party at times works with the agencies or people surrounding players most of the time, without that player knowing much of any detail.
Correct.
Or all detail, right? And so DeAndre Hopkins might have not known about this and was probably not going to know about it until the day of the event or as it approached for this. And so when this gets out there and all this Shep's Cards and Collections company is trying to do is promote something they have going on, they clearly had customers sign up for something and maybe purchase items for it. And then it all blew up in their face because the third-party agency drug them around. And that, it sucks. And all it's doing is creating confusion and conflict where there needs to be no confusion or conflict. So I want to say shout out to DeAndre Hopkins for acknowledging, okay, sorry you were lied to. I knew nothing about this, but I want to make it work. So that is my theory on this. But I called the store and they confirmed to me that they had something set up with DeAndre Hopkins signed items for their company, and it was delayed a couple of times because of the uncertainty about the Titans trade deadline situation.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what happened. And so I'm still like, chat's still coming for Paul. And like, they're still like, oh, you didn't verify. He didn't say anything incorrect. He pointed to the fact that there was a signing scheduled and a signing canceled. And that was basically the only thing that Paul, he just kind of directed attention to it. DeAndre Hopkins saw that and obviously said, well, I don't know about this. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen or it wasn't pushed back. The likely scenario is exactly what you said. And as Shep's Cards and Collectibles pointed out on Twitter, it was through a third party. The third party wanted to delay, but the way that Shep posted it said he wanted to delay. DeAndre Hopkins wanted to delay. So it wasn't an active thing that DeAndre Hopkins did. He didn't have any knowledge of it, but somebody did try to push this back because of the trade deadline looming. And some like, hey, let's make sure he's in town before we schedule some signing event. And part of that might even be for Shep's own good, because what good is a DeAndre Hopkins signed Titans helmet?
Yeah,
things like that if he's no longer on the Titans. So it makes sense to push this back. I don't think anybody's at fault for like putting this information out there. Or go ahead.
I think the agency is slimy. And so Jay says, okay, yeah, Sam, but PK blew it up on Twitter. Let's not pretend. If Paul Kaharski did not tweet it, would DeAndre Hopkins have seen it to then clarify the situation, Jay? No, probably not.
True, right?
Because Paul Kaharski has a very large Twitter following, right? Paul interacts with DeAndre on a weekly basis because of the aspect of him covering the team. DeAndre Hopkins is not going to see the tweet from No Context Titans, but he saw the tweet from Paul and it allowed it to then get clarified. So, there is a little bit of like you guys sometimes shooting the messenger in Paul, when the problem was it's
the third party agency.
Agency, because let's read the Facebook post from Sheps again. The top one. Diop signing update. We apologize for the delay, but he has requested to wait until after the trade deadline. That right there, DeAndre Hopkins did not call Sheps and say, hey, or call his agent and say, hey, we should wait for this because I might get traded. That is the agency speaking for DeAndre Hopkins without DeAndre Hopkins' approval or knowledge of it.
Correct.
Why do I feel this strongly about it? Because I've seen it happen. Pre-pandemic, and I'll go behind the curtains. Pre-pandemic, A to Z was reached out to by one of these agencies about something that we could have done with a Titans player that I will not name for you guys. It was an attempt to have something, content and exposure and autographed items for our audience. And they told us that they were communicating with the player, and schedules got delayed. And so at one point, with us communicating with this third party guy, we were like, all right, this is getting confusing. Let's just ask the guy in the locker room when we're there on Thursday. So we approached him. Hey, I know we're trying to set this up with so-and-so. And the player said, I have no idea who that is or what you're talking about. And we're like, oh, okay. So you know what we did? We stopped talking to that person. And as they continued to reach out to us, we just left them hanging, because clearly the third-party agencies are as slimy as you could expect. And so It's not Shep's fault. It's not Paul's fault. And it's definitely not DeAndre's fault. It is the Sleazy autograph agency trying to make a profit.
Yeah. And I think when you called me yesterday and had your first, your experience, right? Like your account of it, I think it made it make a lot of sense. And Kane keeps asking, like, who cares? I mean, I'm sure nobody cares about the merch or DeAndre Hopkins autograph signing, but when there is like this insinuated, like, what does this mean for a trade? Does this mean DeAndre Hopkins thinks he's getting traded? I do find it relevant, Kane, to address the information and try and, give some reason behind all of it. Before we move on here, we have a lot of super chats to get to here, Austin, before we get to good news.
Yes, we do.
From throughout the show. Amnesia said, like I said earlier, watching this offense, Vrabel is well-versed on what looks ridiculous. Maybe he needs to turn that frustration at the team. That's good. It's a good joke. That would have been, that's the ultimate rebuttal that Rex Road could have had in that thing is you look ridiculous. You know what else looks ridiculous? And
this offense, this offensive line, this pass protection.
Right. He could have done
this punt
like
return situation.
Yeah. Putting Kyle Phillips out there with 1 second on the clock. Yeah. I'm not sure that would have gone over well, but it would have been funny. Kane says, what do we do as a fan to look forward to? No Super Bowl, no division title, win a few meaningless games and picking in the middle of the draft. Sad. And that is the problem.
Right? You're looking for in between the lines progress, signs of future.
I think Kane is right here. He's dead on. That's also sports fandom. There's one champion, and in the NFL, 31 disappointed fan bases. And your hope is that somewhere along the lines, there's enough hope and excitement that keeps you coming back for the next year, whether that's through the draft, whether that's through your wins and losses. And so, yeah, right now, that the Titans are in a tough spot. And this is the difficult position of any team that's meddling in the National Football League, of being like, what really is there to look forward to? You're looking for direction. And so I understand the frustrations. I understand the people that want to tank. But also as a football fan, how could you not hope for a playoff game or so? Try and have some fun with it, and try and enjoy your fandom as long as you can. Like you said, Austin, you wait for football for 7 months. You might as well make the most of it when it's here. Andre says, Vrabel is the Tannehill of head coaches. He was the bridge needed at the time, not the guy to lead the ship going forward. Competent coaching is needed. That is a wild, I'm not going to call it. I'm not going to say wild in the sense of that's a bold claim. I don't know how
I'm interested in having a conversation about it.
It's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think that's a very interesting analogy by Andre here. Andre comes back again and says, bad decisions on player staff, team direction, and now he's acting like a child, referring to Mike Vrabel, bringing an offensive guy or one who brings the right staff around. This is the stubbornness and the personality of Mike Vrabel that it doesn't work when you lose. And people don't take to it the same way when you're losing football games. When he's acting like this when they win, it's funny. And it's, just Mike being Mike, and it's easy to laugh at it. 2-4, when people are running out of patience, it wears thin on media. It wears thin on the fan base. Nathaniel says, we don't want to be 500 in a rebuild year, referring to probably me saying 6-6 or the 8-9 win mark and then getting to 4-4.
I'll push back on that, though. It's okay if you have a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. Right? I don't think I agree with you 100%. People view rebuilding as, well, we have to bottom out and draft the QB because we're rebuilding. Have to bottom out and draft the DN because we're rebuilding. I think you can be rebuilding, and if your quarterback is outperforming expectations and you're like, hey, we have a quarterback like the Eagles did, by the way. Granted, the Eagles had traded for a lot of picks that helped their situation, but they kind of went, oh, hey, we Jalen Hurts is not bad, and we're winning some football games right now, and we're a little bit ahead of schedule. And then they were able to go all in and build one of the best rosters in football around him. So, yeah, as long as you have a quarterback, 500 in a rebuilding year, not bad. Now, if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are like Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, and neither one of them are the answer, and you're going to go win 8 or 9 games, that's a bit of a problem. But if we're doing this the rest of the way and the quarterback is looking good, then I don't think you have a huge problem.
Yeah. Now this is and somebody says, we know Willis ain't it. Well, yeah, maybe, but you're trying to bank on the second round pick for this year. So look, that's something there too. Is that all the super chats we have here, Sam?
Yep. All the super chats.
Sweet. I have a Titans trend that I think we can benefit from on Sunday, Sam. But first, tell everybody about the Bone and Joint Institute.
The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Schedule an appointment with them at boneandjointtn.org. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility located out in Franklin with everything all under one roof. Clinic, rehab, image, surgery, testing, all in the same spot. So when you go out there, they have everything and you don't need to travel all over Middle Tennessee to get to your different appointments. Schedule an appointment with them and don't fumble on your recovery at boneandjointtn.org.
And with BetMGM, you can always win big with our bonus code ATOZ Sports. Get the best first bet offer in the game with our bonus code ATOZ Sports, because that means you go big on your first bet because you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if that first bet misses, but only when you sign up with our code ATOZ Sports on the BetMGM app. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only new customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and other requirements. First online real money wager only. Rewards issued not bonus bets. Bonus bets expire in 7 days. For problem game sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Sam, I do have a Titans bet to ride that I think is a smart thing to take advantage of this week. Now, if you log into your BetMGM app, because of the uncertainty of the quarterback, the uncertainty of Derrick Henry's status, there's really not much prop bets available on the Titans side of things on BetMGM or really sports books, right? And so the Titans are a 2.5-point underdog at home. I think there's some value there for Titans plus 2.5. This seems like a game that somehow the Titans will get pissed off enough to win it when nobody expects them to. But I think there's a trend that we can really take advantage of here. Tyjae Spears' rushing yards is listed at 29.5. I think you should go over that 29.5. Okay. I think Tyjae Spears is going to get that number with or without Derrick Henry. I feel very confident in saying Tyjae Spears over 29.5 is a really solid number considering the fluctuation of what Derrick Henry's usage could be.
I like that a lot. I have one as well. I mentioned it earlier. Desmond Ridder stinks. Over 0.5 interceptions at plus 105. For Desmond Ridder to throw a pick against the Titans. This team struggles with takeaways. I know this quarterback is just that bad. He might throw it right to him a couple times. So, over 0.5 interceptions for Desmond Ridder. He leads the NFL in turnovers with 11. I think a couple of those are coming this weekend. So, hammering that at plus 105.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Good value on a
29.5 rushing yards over that for Tyjae Spears. I believe that number was minus 120, which I think is okay. And then I really like your Desmond Ridder interceptions there too, because hey, Kevin Byard's not there, but Kevin Byard didn't have a pick so far this season. Amani Hooker's still back there. And so maybe you can get your hands on a football, tip it up in the air and get a pick. So I like that quite a bit, Sam. So those are our two bets on BetMGM this weekend. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, Lou Man says I keep blocking comments. I don't know what he's talking about. I haven't blocked a comment ever. I don't know how to even do that. So
I block spam comments. That's it.
Well, just Lou Man, I did not block your comment. So
Lou Man thinks he gets blocked by everybody.
Lou Man's a big supporter of my Titans at 2 show. So I would never block my guy in the comment section.
Yeah. All right, Sam, you ready for good news?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, ain't that good news? Let's send us to a weekend. I think we all need this weekend. So let's hit it with some good news. Share your good news in the chat and we'll read it there too. Also, shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see our friend Payne Bone and his team in Lebanon for your new ride or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Good news to be shared across the board. Sam, I'll let you. Let's see. Okay, Sean has some good news. Sean's good news. Suns team is going to the playoffs after winning last night's game. He had 17 carries, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns. Got player of the game and play of the game. Sadly, it was his last home game. So, Sean, how old is your son now? Because I feel like we've been following.
He's got to be a senior in high school then.
Is he a senior in high school? Because that's crazy. Because I remember when he was a middle schooler dropping 25 points a game in basketball. But Sean's son typically has some good news updates. I did see a couple other good newses. Now Lou Man says, I hit the dislike button. Thanks, Lou Man. Don't be like Lou Man and hit the dislike button.
Hit the like button. We need more likes.
We need more likes in the show. Let me actually see if Lou Man did hit the dislike button, because it shows if somebody hit the dislike button or if Lou Man's just talking out of both sides
now
of
he's
his
going
mouth.
to actually go do it if he didn't already. There you go.
I know, right? Did he hit it? It's loading. It's trying to load, trying to refresh, and of course, my internet.
I mean, just hit the like button. We're good. We're good.
Nobody's hit the dislike button.
Switch over to maybe switched over to the like button. Thanks, Lou Man.
Lou Man is lying. Jeff says, good news. Former NFL DC Dean Pease went and talked to my high school this week before their first round of the playoffs. That's pretty cool. Dean's a great talker. Very
automatic win.
Right. Let's see. Scary Harry says, good news. Son turned 19 yesterday and came by to see him. That's fantastic news. IR Hoshi just says, good news. World War III hasn't started quite yet. Yep. True. Marco says, Oilers uniforms are definitely great news. Let's see. Steven says, another good weekend, another wedding, as he meant to say. I know Stephen King's been at a lot of weddings. Hey, Jameson got promoted at work. How about that?
Congrats.
Ernie says, good news. I'm drinking Yingling all weekend, and my son went 3 for 3 with 2 RBI yesterday. How about that? Fall ball right there. Josh saved $150 on a car repair late last night. That's great.
Listen, I like these good news today. We got some good ones coming in.
Sam, do you have some good news?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my good news is tentative good news. I'm kind of excited. I'm a little don't know what I'm getting into. I'm doing like haunted house stuff tonight. Doing Nashville Nightmare. I don't know what that is at all. Not really a haunted house guy, not really a horror guy, but like kind of just, I'm excited for the vibes. I'm a big fall guy, and so I'm ready for like some of these Halloween vibes to get going. Also, as Denise keeps pointing out, World Series is great news. I love some playoff baseball. So yeah, World Series.
I feel like in the last like month and a half, you have been pulled to things that you're like, I'm not kind of this type of person, but I'm doing this. Like The Exorcist, the Barbie movie, and now you're going to a haunted house.
And the Taylor Swift movie.
Taylor Swift movie. Yeah.
Well, and I saw the Barbie movie. Yeah, I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
Just along for the ride, man.
Well, that's me though. I'm just kind of down for whatever. That's kind of my personality.
Hey, we'll do something. Yeah, sure. Sounds great.
Yeah, exactly. If I get invited to something, I'm probably going to go.
Invite Sam to something and he'll be there. That's all you have to do.
You're not lying. So yeah, I don't know what to expect. I'm not a big haunted house guy, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm kind of excited.
Nice. My good news. I did see somebody's birthday. Good news. I want to give a birthday shout out to that birthday. Let me make sure I scroll back up to see whose birthday it was. Where did it go? No, where did it go? Somebody's birthday.
Kane says Nashville Nightmare is losing to the Falcons by 10+. Which
Nashville Nightmare is trading Derrick Henry. No, I lost. Oh, Jabu. Good news. 39th birthday. Happy birthday, Jabu. Jabu's been watching our show for a long time.
Happy birthday.
My good news is I've got double duty this weekend because me and Jack are going to be live at Acme. I love being at Acme for these game day shows. It's so much fun because the energy is great. The weather is going to be insanely good. It's even like in the 70s or 80s over the weekend, which is just awesome. And then it's going to get freezing cold next week. So take advantage of that while you can. But Acme rooftop, 80 degrees on Sunday. Yes, absolutely. And Jack said he's been texting former Titans and Oilers players to have them come by Acme before or after the game. So come check us out at Acme. Scary Harry says he may come by. My other good news, my double duty, is that I am doing the Vols Kentucky game tomorrow night for our halftime and post-game show. My guy, Jonathan Crompton. Love doing that. That's fun because me and Cromp started this thing back in the COVID year, and Charlie Burris has been stepping in with Cromp the last 3 seasons. But every once in a while, Charlie's got something to do. Charlie has a wedding he has to go to and can't get out of it. So I am filling in for Charlie on Saturday. So double duty for me. Jimmy asked, do they serve breakfast at Acme? They've got really good food at Acme. Really good food.
I haven't been, but I trust it.
Yeah, you're kind of busy. You're usually at the stadium by the time me and Jack get to Acme. So, but hey, make sure that you guys have a great start to the weekend. Sam, I believe you'll be live a little bit later today, but we'll also be live from Acme 30 minutes before the game starts. Thanks to Spirited Hive and Ranch Water's great game day specials from Spirited Hive and Ranch Water. Make sure you hit that like button on the show, not the dislike button like Lou. So like the show before you out of here. Have a great
Titans at 2, Titans at 2, Titans at 2.
There you go. Titans at 2. Sam will see you later. I'll see you on Saturday and Sunday. Appreciate it as always.